world, you are watching the Comment on ETHNews, but you knew that because we've been around for 200 episodes. Today is a big day for us. When we first started our show, our intention was to update you guys on what's happening in the Ethereum and blockchain community. Since then, we have grown and blossomed. Thanks to you and your viewership, we now have ETHNews Briefs and In Minutes, two other shows dedicated to keeping you up to date. To celebrate this milestone, I've invited a few teammates of mine to share their favorite ETHNews reported story and what they are most excited about in this space. First up is ETHNews copy editor and occasional writer, Allison.
What I find most interesting is liberal radicalism. Blockchain tech is still a baby, but it's already spurring radical new ideas for structuring power, authority, knowledge, and resource distribution. A recent white paper by Glenn Whale, Vitalik Buterin, and Zoe Hitzig titled Liberal Radicalism, Formal Rules for a Society Neutral Among Communities presents one such idea. Liberal radicalism isn't the laissez-faire neoliberalism you often find in crypto communities. Rather, the authors use the word liberalism to describe an intellectual tradition that, to quote them, opposes arbitrary or historically derived centralized authority. It favors, to the maximum extent consistent with social order, social systems that are neutral across reasonable, competing conceptions of the good life held by individual citizens. This makes a lot of sense coming from Buterin, as it pretty much exactly reflects his hope for Ethereum as a protocol to enable dApps representing diverse, competing, and contradictory purposes and values. The key takeaway here might be that there's room for everybody in the cryptosphere. New ways of considering economics and political philosophy may offer a common ground between die-hard socialists and free market libertarians. In fact, Glenn Whale recently described liberal radicalism as, quote, simultaneously true socialism and the most extreme free market. This paper blew my mind. In a time when people are so deeply divided along ideological lines, the idea that we can invent new social and economic frameworks that borrow the best parts of seemingly disparate worldviews, it gives me a lot of hope.
Thank you, Allison. You're right. Blockchain technology has sprung up radical new ideas. And speaking of liberal radicalism, have you had a chance to watch ETHNews' Liberal Radicalism in Minutes episode? If not, you should, because Daniel breaks down everything you need to know about liberal radicalism in minutes. Let's see what fellow anchor and ETHNews writer Daniel finds most interesting.
Let's face it, not enough people vote in midterm elections in the United States. But sometimes, candidates do some pretty interesting things to attract buzz to the midterm slump. So, what would be an interesting aspect of a candidate's platform? Something to really grab voters' attention? The answer comes in two key words: blockchain and weed. Zach Conine, Nevada's Democratic candidate for state treasurer, recently shared a white paper with me outlining a legal cannabis banking solution for the state powered by blockchain technology. Now, in the legal cannabis space, there's a large and apparent issue: a lack of conventional banking support. Because recreational consumption of the drug is illegal at the federal level, banks backed by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation cannot offer financial services to or support legal cannabis businesses in Nevada. As such, these companies operate on a cash basis, which exposes them to potential theft. However, a proposal spearheaded by both Conine and Kate Marshall, who is Nevada's Democratic candidate for lieutenant governor, attempts to address this lack of banking support. This is a fascinating proposal because it bridges two emerging industries in a state that has really tried to make itself known in the tech space. Nevada has always been a hub for gambling and, well, prostitution, but I think it's pretty cool that somebody like Conine wants to not only further bring blockchain and emerging technologies in general to the state, but also help improve the budding legal cannabis industry. This is such a cool project that I hope it works out, but of course, Conine needs to get elected first.
That is very interesting, Danielle. I am curious to see how midterm elections will eventually shape blockchain technology integration, and I can't wait for your next episode of In Minutes. Speaking of cool shows on ETHNews, let's see what the host of ETHNews Briefs, Darlene, finds most interesting.
Back in July of this year, Germany blockchain startup Ink Labs introduced its new platform, B-Ink, that combines blockchain and artificial intelligence to make immortality a digital reality, allowing users to preserve and share their essential traits and personality long after their physical death. According to their explainer video on YouTube, they describe how their revolutionary system will use your personality and preference assessments based on your social media interactions and your interactions with your personal B-Ink trainer. They will try to capture your face, voice, movements to create a perfect digital copy of you. The company even told potential users not to worry because users will be able to select who gets a digital version of themselves once they pass away. But do we trust that? Probably not. But this is an interesting concept to me because this just goes to show that we're living in the future. The company's video even tugs on your heartstrings and says, quote, "Imagine congratulating your kid on his birthday, speaking or chatting to your beloved ones as if nothing changed," unquote. And to add to the creepiness, the video ends with, quote, "I am living forever now. Are you ready to become digitally immortal as well?" Unquote. Sounds like a cool concept, but I'm still unsure and uncomfortable. I mean, I keep imagining how weird it would be to have my past relatives communicating with me now.
Thank you, Darlene. Creating everlasting life through artificial intelligence seems to many as nothing but a dream, kind of like how some feel about the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission ever approving a crypto-backed exchange-traded fund. Let's see what ETHNews writer Nathan chose as his favorite ETHNews story.
In July of this year, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission denied a Bitcoin-backed exchange-traded fund based on the perception that the exchange failed to prove it had implemented sufficient anti-fraud and manipulation mechanisms. But not every SEC commissioner agreed. In an interview with SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce, she told me her side of the story. Commissioner Peirce disagreed with her counterparts because she felt as if the ETF was denied based on the underlying Bitcoin spot market, instead of the shares to be listed on the exchange. She also disagreed with the view the SEC has of being the gatekeepers of new technology. Instead of holding back emerging technology based on fear of being blamed for investor loss, Commissioner Peirce wants the SEC to develop rules and give the investors the disclosure needed to make wise investments, and give the investor the power to decide what technology to invest in for themselves. And when I asked her about how she felt about being the crypto champion in the SEC, she responded, and I quote, "What I'm trying to champion is that we have a country full of people who have fascinating ideas and really are looking for ways they can change the world," unquote. This is one of my very favorite pieces because it shows a change in the attitude about the mysteries surrounding cryptocurrency at the government level.
And that concludes our 200th episode. What story stood out to you the most? Was it something we mentioned, or do you have a different favorite? Let me know by tweeting at me and, oh yeah, commenting. I want to thank Allison, Daniel, Darlene, and Nathan for showing up today. I had a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the next 200 episodes. Make sure to check out ETHNews for all the latest. Until next time, don't forget to leave a comment. Join me back here on The Comment to hear my take on the day's top crypto and blockchain stories. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Like this video and share it with your friends on social media. To make sure you get all the newest episodes, click on the alert button. That's that bell-looking button by the word subscribe. Follow me on social media at ETHNewsy. That's at ETHNewsSy. And I will see you next time.